Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Talk Freelance to Me podcast. I am so excited to introduce to you one of my favorite people in general in life. We've gone way back into time. We've known each other for a long time. The illustrious Marielou Mandl. Welcome, Marielou.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ashley, for having me on your show. When you said you were doing this show, when I saw your new project pop up, Talk Freelance to Me, I'm just really passionate about what you're doing, and like you are the person to do it. So thank you for asking me to be part of this.
Thank you. Thank you for carving out time from your busy schedule because I know you do a lot. And Freelance fam, I want to read to you a little bit from Mary Lou's bio so you can see what she's working with and see what she's coming to the table with because it's amazing and super inspiring. So I'll read a little bit. Marielou Mandl is the life of the digital party. As a content creator extraordinaire, entrepreneur, and self-care space influencer, she's got a knack for juggling all the internet fun you could imagine. Her booming business specializes in user-generated content, tutorials, and turning client projects into virtual masterpieces that would make even Mona Lisa smile. When she's not busy sprinkling self-care fairy dust on her followers, Marielou is the go-to guru for beginner content creators who want to learn the secret sauce of video editing. She's like a magician with a YouTube channel, transforming content creation newbies into video wizards one tutorial at a time. Her YouTube channel is like a contentception, content about making content. From tips and tricks to hacks and how-tos, Mariellou's channel is a one-stop shop for all your content cravings. And let's not forget the laughs. She's got a sense of humor that will tickle your funny bone and leave you in stitches. Marielou Mandl is the digital dynamo with a heart of gold and the wit of a stand-up comic. If you're looking for inspiration, information, and a whole lot of entertainment, look no further. Mariellou's got you covered. And she also had ChatGPT write this bio for her, so you know it has to be true. Can we give it up for the bio? I mean, that bio rocks.
Well, so we were talking about right before we started about like writing is like putting my thoughts and things into the written word is difficult. So with ChatGPT, I'm like, I don't know, like say this, like, but say it more funny. Like I asked it to write a bio, but I was like, be a little more funny about it. And then it was like, it cracked me up. And this is the first time I heard it out loud. And I'm like, oh my God.
I love it. No, girl, when you sent it to me, I was like jealous. I was like, this is great. This is alliteration. It's funny. It's very you. So I'm telling you, ChatGPT, I'm embracing it.
Yeah.
I'm
it's
embracing
using those
but
tools to like help you where the things that you feel deficient in, or you just, I couldn't wrap my head around writing a bio. I will write bios for other people all day long. But for myself, I'm like, she makes videos.
The end.
Right. But there's more to it than that. But yeah, I was really impressed with what it came up with. I was like, oh, okay.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I can imagine for someone as creative as you, that writing might even feel a little like restrictive, maybe a little bit limiting in some ways. So I could totally see, how you would feel that way. And I think ChatGPT, it's amazing what AI is doing, even in music and art. And it's a cool time. So
and I will always cite my sources if ChatGPT or AI ever does I have no shame telling people that I'm like, I asked AI to do this for me. Thank you very much.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I was reflecting on me and you and just, we've known each other a long time and we've seen technology change.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's insane. So when did we meet? Did we meet in grade school or was it in middle school? I can't remember.
I think probably in middle school in sixth grade, but like still before AOL.
Yes. So Freelance fam, for you, just so you know, me and Marielou are from the same hometown, and we grew up together in middle school and also high school. And Marielou has always been so creative, such an actress, like in all the like plays and stuff we had to do for school, or like even in like our classes when we'd have to do skits and stuff. I mean, talk about somebody who was going all out and we were like, man, this is like a Broadway production for like this assignment. Like you've always been that girl. And I'm so, I just love you. And I'm so inspired by everything that you've done like all these decades later. It's amazing. Very cool.
Thank you so much. And I've always been impressed by you. I have like stories about you that I tell my partner all the time. I was like, oh my gosh, there was this time that Ashley did this. Like, I don't know. I adore you. So we could just love on each other all day long, but we want to send some love out to you guys listening who want to go on this
Yes.
freelance journey, because like as women, I feel like it's pretty scary for us, but now like we're fortunate to be in a place where we can showcase things to other people who maybe want to do this crazy life.
Yes. It is a crazy life. And it's so interesting because, like we were talking before we on the onset, how you've been doing this for a long time. Like the term side hustle, or even like the idea of remote work, that has been, I feel like, a surge in popularity in the last several years, the last, maybe since the pandemic really started. But you've been doing this a lot longer, and you have one of the most diverse, interesting careers. You've done everything from acting, you were a TV host, an MC. You've also put on huge events, you produced. Now you're doing this self care influencer, and you teach people like me who are scared of making content like in this way, and you help us get out there, and you not only encourage us but you teach us with these tutorials. Whew. So what made you zero in? You've done all these things and you have all
So
these options. How did you zero in on these aspects of content creation?
so it sounds chaotic, right? When you don't see the through line, but your life to anyone on the outside may look chaotic, but it's your journey. So
Right.
it can be, right? You don't have to go in a straight line. And that's been my life. It's like it has not been a straight line.
Mm.
It's been exploring things of interest, things I want to know more about, and being willing to say yes,
Mm.
which I'm very willing to do. I'm always willing to just say, yes, let me try this out. So, whenever we graduated college, and I moved out to LA in like 2007. So, I think I finished undergrad around 2005, just like was working whatever in Florida. And then I was like, let me move to LA. And then it's the recession,
Mm.
right? So, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
what do I do? Anything that I can.
Yeah.
And that's how freelance started for me. So, from graduating college, I was like, just take a little job here, a little job there, because I'm like, I don't exactly know where I want to land, but I love to learn. I
Mm.
love to learn. I want to know how things work. I want to know the inside, the outside. I want to know every position. Like, so early working in like TV film stuff, I just wanted to know what everybody was doing. I couldn't just be an actress. And I think that's why my acting career didn't like go where I thought it would, because I met resistance within myself of like, I can't just be here and have people tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I'm not that person.
Mm-hmm.
And then that has been kind of the through line of I can't be the person. I've never been the person that does well being told what to do.
Yeah.
I can collaborate. I can work in teams. I can manage projects, but I don't do well when somebody owns me. And
Mm.
that is freelance life to me, is that nobody owns you. You can choose where you go, but you also are responsible for everything. And that's like the double-edged sword. Like I don't mind being responsible for everything. Like I'm the oldest child of,
Yes.
like of a mixed family, like stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
you understand, right?
I do.
We've been in charge of things,
Yeah.
and it's hard to be like, well, nobody else knows what they're doing. And the thing is, like, nobody knows. Like, even I don't know, but I know that I'm confident enough to try things and I'm confident enough to make mistakes. So that's why things have gone a little bit everywhere in my career, but they all inform where I am now. So to your question of like, why did I hone in on kind of the two verticals that I'm on right now? So
Mm-hmm.
I've got the content about making content. And then I've got this newer venture, which is the self-care influencer thing. Now, they seem kind of unrelated, but they do inform each other. With my content about making content, I have been making videos as long as I had a camera in my hand. I love making videos. I feel like in high school, like if we had a presentation, they're
Yeah.
like, you can do a paper or you can make a video presentation. I'm like, I'm making a movie. Thank
Right.
you.
Exactly.
Uh,
Get ready.
I'll be back. And this is before we had editing tools. So I'm having to like do it on the tape and like watch it and then
Oh my
rewind it,
goodness.
record over it, stuff like that. I loved it. Like I love just that history of experience with this format
Mm.
of making video. And then I'm still passionate about it. It's like, not a lot of things like lasted through my life, but video making always has been.
Yeah.
So with making content about making content, uh, during the pandemic, like I had some tutorials up for years. I've been making this stuff for years, kind of on the side with my other jobs, with my production jobs, with my tour managing jobs. And I would produce videos with other people, produce videos for marketing clients. But like I wanted to have my YouTube channel, which rooted from anytime, like my friends all knew that I knew how to do social media. I knew how to do video. If I got asked a question 3 times, I was like, I'm just going to make a video. Because obviously people need this. I'm just like, here's the link. This is how you do that thing. So those were just kind of up there. Now, cut to the beginning of the pandemic, everybody's at home. And now everybody's panicking a little bit, like thinking they need to have an online presence, which like for some people that flourished. And for some people, it was just something to do. And for some people, they got to realize that's not for them. But that's where my channel started to kind of take off, and I was getting more questions, and I got like outreach for consultations or for coaching or things like that. Just to be clear, I don't do coaching and consultations anymore. But if you have questions, you can DM me. I don't mind answering questions. But that stuff started to pick up. Great. So I really love this content about making content channel, but I've noticed that the people, the audience at large that it attracts is not necessarily the audience that I want to reach. I want to help women like us who have a life that they want to build. So the side project, the newer project of the self-care stuff is to put my content in front of the type of women who may be interested in building a life themselves, because we're consumers. I was thinking about like, what do I spend money on? I'm buying massage tools and face oils and face masks and bubble baths. Like, I love it, right? And like, I just feel like that's like a common thing for typically women. Everybody can enjoy that kind of stuff, but women who like want to take control of their own lives, who want to feel good about their lives. So that's where this project is coming in, because now I know my videos will get in front of those people, and those people who aspire to do that kind of thing, they will find the tutorials. But when I was just doing the tutorials, I find in production, and this was like when I was doing TV film production, this is like all production that I've done, is that I come head to head with men. And, you know, I love to collaborate with men, but I do not like to be talked down to by anybody, right? But there's like a trend here. So I'm like, okay, but like, so this project, the content about making content, tends to be people who want to make their own tutorial channels on film production, TV production. Cool. Video production, great. But that tends to be men. Some women would find it, right? Like it would find some of the right people, but I was like really trying to hone in on like, how can I get to the women I want to help? And if it reaches them this way, this is just like it's an effort to get to these women in the right way. So it's like, because women aren't necessarily looking like up, how do I edit a video necessarily at first, right? But they might find how, you know, what's the latest in skincare, and then they see how I edit my videos and how I make my videos. They end up on my other page, they see my behind the scenes, and then the information will find them. So they're unrelated, but they are informing each other. And that's where we're at with the two things. Because my secondary channel I was going to do, it was originally about a year ago, Lou Talks Tech. Because I was going to be like, okay, let me talk about cameras, let me talk about microphones, which I do from time to time. But again, that was attracting not the demographic that I want to serve with my work.
I love it, Marielou. That, first of all, Freelance fam, I hope you're listening to all these gems that she's dropping. The business strategy that you're putting into practice to get to your audience, that commitment, first of all, that's super smart. Second, like some people don't have that commitment to go to figure out, okay, these are the people that are gravitating to me, but I actually don't want to serve them. And how can I find the people? How can I help those people that I actually want to serve find me? Like, you're going that extra step. That's super admirable and very, very smart. And I think, I mean, just to put a testimonial, so me and you ran into each other for the first time since we graduated in 2001. In 2019, You were in town for a guest speaker that was speaking at the local library, and I was there, and I was super pregnant with my third kid, and we were in line to meet the author and the speaker at this big event, and you were in front of me, and I was like, I know that hair. I know that hair. And I'm
The
like,
hair.
the hair. I was like, that can't be Marielou from my hometown that I have not seen since 2001. Again, this was 2019. And you had moved to LA, you had been over there on the West Coast for so long. So I was like, is that Marielou Mandl? And I think I even said your name, and I was preparing, you know how like when you wave to somebody and it's not the person you thought, you feel kind of crunchy. Like I was preparing for that moment, and it was you. And then we had the best time. We reconnected, and you were telling me two things that stand out. One, you told me that, and I just quoted this with another guest. You're going to hear this on Lolo's podcast interview, is that what you did as a child, you always will come back to.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about how you were on the morning announcements, and you were always in front of the camera and very comfortable. And now fast forward to you helping other people do the same. And then you also said to get out of your head and to like get more comfortable, like think about talking to someone that you love or somebody you're really comfortable, and you're sharing that you were using your sister, like pretending. And honestly, that tip I've used like when I've just barely started this platform. And sometimes I'll visualize my little sister Jessie, and I'll let me just pretend like I'm talking to Jessie and like telling her this and that. So I love the full circle moments. I love the intention that you're doing to reach this specific group of people. It's super cool.
Yeah. And it makes a difference in your intention. Now, like it wasn't always that, right? It took a long time for me to figure out what is my intention, right? It's just like, I want to be on camera. I have something to share. I want to share. Why am I reaching all the wrong people? And like if those like if the wrong people see my content and they get use out of it, I have no problem with that. I'm not like, you can't look at it.
Yeah.
But there's like a group of people that I want to empower and encourage to make content if they want to. Like people like you. Like you are a wonderful speaker, you're wonderful on camera, but like there's a little bit of a resistance, right?
Yeah.
So say we like if we didn't know each other in person, like I don't know if you would have found my content tutorial channel.
Right.
Like I don't know if that would have landed with you, because I can see from my demographics that that's not usually who it lands on. I can see that it is like, you can see, in your YouTube analytics and things like that, it's a majority this way or that way. Now it's like, I really tried to make my stuff look really feminine and really colorful and really like different than some of the other stuff that's out there. And it still wasn't landing. So the secondary channel, like to reach the people and also to connect with other women as well, just in like a common interest, because I'm like, what am I spending money on? Okay, it's this, it's this. So like, let's talk about this kind of stuff. And then how can I do this in a way that's distinctly me, that can show people it doesn't all have to look the same. And, with the freelancers that are writers, right? Like your writing doesn't have to look like everybody else's writing. Your presentation, like unless that's what the client wants, right? So like that's where we get into the US UGC and the like client work. That is something different. That's a whole different arm of the business. And that's like, when you're a freelancer, there's a lot of arms to this business. It's no one thing.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that, because I think you posted recently a little bit about user generated content, UGC, and this is something that I had never heard about. Whole new world. Can you tell us more about that and how interested people can take advantage of that?
Yeah. So if you look at even advertising with on TV commercials, where it's like, I don't have cable, but like some streaming channels will have their commercials pop up and things like that are actual commercials. Even that stuff is looking like it is generated by users, by people. Like there are commercials that I'm seeing pop up that do not look like they were shot by a full production TV studio. They look like they were shot on a phone. And it's an interesting, like, listen to the wind, see where things are going. Cause like you're in marketing and anyone who pays attention to marketing and advertising, the level that I'm at in marketing, I don't have the resources to have focus groups and research teams and things like that, but I am very perceptive and will pay attention to what they've found.
Yeah.
And I'll start to see that. So user-generated content is even coming in on trend for like mainstream TV commercials. As a creator on a creator level, on social media, when we're scrolling through the feeds and we see stuff that it looks like people shot in their house, they shot with their kids, they shot it on their phone, we're like, cool, let me watch, let me watch. When something pops up that looks like a commercial, we turn off. Like we just turn off. So companies are putting money into bridging that gap, into making their commercials, but they are not low end, because like it's not necessarily low end because there is an art to it, but it is less commercially and more like your friend is recommending a product to you. So companies will hire out creators to do user generated content. So it's a lot of the times they specifically will ask, like, you shoot it on your phone, you don't shoot it in the studio. Like, this look I will not use for a lot of my user generated content unless it's something that they specifically request. So for like tech products and things like that, this is a fine setup for that. They'll take this, it looks high quality. They want that because that's the audience
Right.
that will like that kind of product. But if it's like, cat products, like I get to review cat products sometimes, right? Because I always like post pictures of my cats.
Yeah.
I like, it's like specifically shoot it on your phone, shoot it in where it looks like the house, make the house look nice, but don't make it a set. Right. So if you want to get into something like that, it's basically like influencer videos, but you don't have to necessarily post it to your own personal profile. So my user generated content, like it will be whatever kind of clients I want to work with. That's the business, the freelance business of like, choosing who you want to work with and what direction you want to work with. So if like a cigarette company came out, they're like, hey, we want you to do something, like I would turn that down. That's not for me. Alcohol content, not for me. But, like skincare stuff, like a face cleaning brush I got to do recently, like that's kind of fun. The cat stuff, of course, that's really fun. Like I got a cat stroller. I don't know if I would have bought a cat stroller, but I got to film a cat stroller, and it's fun because you get these little prompts, right? It's like, and a lot of the times it's not in any way that they specifically want. They might have like, they're like, hey, can you hit these talking points, like the warranty, the wheels go over, all sorts of terrain. And then it breaks down to something small, right? They may cover that, but they're like, other than that, 15 seconds, vertical video, or if it's for like a Facebook ad, they'll say they want 30 seconds. They want it to be square, different things like that. Or they'll just want footage, right? Like you just shoot some footage. I've done that too recently. I shot with a Filipino grocery store that is got a new like service coming out of like pre-made meals. So it's like kind of like a HelloFresh kind of thing, but it's like heating it up at home. So I had to shoot in my kitchen with like a real looking kitchen, but like, make everything look nice, right? But showing this kind of stuff that looks like it's done in somebody's home, not in a studio. Now, when people see it, audiences see this, they're like, wow, oh, that could be my friend.
Yeah.
Showing me, like sending me a little video, just like the, recommendation to you for like making content of like, act like you're talking to a loved one. Like if your loved one was like, can you recommend to me, like, I don't have time to make food, but I really want to have like food that's easy to make. And you just like grab your phone and you're like, oh my gosh, you have to look at this thing. Like this thing is so great. Like you should get this. And then you send it to them and they're like, okay, that's the style that we're looking at. And there's different companies that you can sign up with in order to find clients for this. So Billo, Billo, is one client that I work with. They reached out to me and like, there's like a job board, right? You can go to backstage.com, which has been historically for actors finding auditions. But as I predicted, that I was like that they're going to go to actors for UGC stuff because commercial actors are getting less work because money is going to creators. So you have to be able to do both. So that's a place that you could sign up for. You can look at jobs there and apply to those there. Or if you love a specific niche, right? So this is like your worksheet that Ashley has. It's like niches to riches worksheet.
Yeah.
Yes. So like if like I really want to do stuff in cookware, you start an account and you start making videos in your style, because like I'm not being asked to do stuff in other people's style. I make things in my style. It's because they're hiring you as a creator in your version of content. You can make a page that like you don't even have to put your name on it. Like you could do UGC content and not even show your face if you wanted. That could be just your hands. It could be just unboxings. It could be, there's like so many ways that you can do this that is comfortable to you. Is it a huge part of my business? No, but it does bring in some coins, right? And that's like with the freelance, it's like I don't rely ever my whole career on one source of income. It's not viable. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel safe. I don't like it because that's putting too much power in the hands of something else. So
100%.
diversify, please.
Please. So good. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. I mean, just the creative energy that goes into creating this content and making it look authentic and not super like you said, commercial, I guess would be the proper word for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And you still keep up with your own personal presence on social media. Why is it so important that freelancers create public facing social media content for themselves?
It's really important because you are what you tell people you are.
Mm.
And it is the new portfolio. It is like, I mean, anybody that I meet, I'm going to look them up. If they give me
Yeah.
any level of information, I'm going to look them up. And like, you can have your personal account where it's just like your pets and food if you want, right? But also integrating that into an online presence that also represents you as a creator, as a writer, as a freelancer, as a business shows that you're human,
Yeah.
that you're dealing with a human because people don't work with services, they work
Mm-hmm.
with people. So if you're a writer, sure, you can like go find a writer, but now of like, I've got writer that's generic writer, like writer A, and then I've got writer B who's like, oh, we both like connect on traveling. And we like, I see that they're into travel. I see that they travel and I'm got a travel thing that I need them to write. Cool. They're already seem more qualified. Even if this person, generic writer, is like a professional, like they
Yeah.
travel all the time, but we don't know that because they haven't shared
Mm.
that. So you're like forward facing, like I would think of it a pre-interview. It's part of your resume, it's part of your application, it's part of your marketing as a freelancer. So, my content about making content things that helps me book my UGC clients, right? It helps book speaking clients and different things like that. Because like if you look me up, they're like, oh, this girl makes content
Yeah.
because I go on there and I say Marielou makes content.
Yeah.
And so they know like she knows what she's doing. We can trust her. And also then that helps me uh indicate my rates
Yeah.
because I have like a, obvious, very front facing skill set that
Yes.
like they know it. They know it already. It's the storefront, like you go into a store and you're like, okay, this store obviously knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what you want to be. That's your social presence. Like, do you need to be an influencer? No, not necessarily. But I will tell you, I was thinking about this earlier, that as a freelancer in any creative aspect, you already are an influencer. You influence thoughts. Now, are you an influencer like, here's my selfie at Coachella? That's that's not the full definition of an influencer. There are influencers at Coachella, but you as a creative freelancer are influencing in whatever lane you create in. You influence the thoughts, you influence people's like perceptions and the information that's out there. Because if we don't put it out there, it doesn't exist. Like you might be the one person with that opinion that somebody's like, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I never looked at it that way. So you are an influencer in in a sense,
That
in
is
like the
so
classic sense.
good. Yeah. And what it really means, right? I mean, what it
Mm-hmm.
really means to, like you were talking about, like if your sister texts you, hey, I need a meal prep or, some kind of service, I can't do this. Like, yeah, that's what it is at its core. It's word of mouth. It's me
Mm-hmm.
saying, put my, this work for me. Maybe it will work for you. That's super cool. And I love what you mentioned about our accounts being part of that package, part of that application package, that resume. Because you're right, people connect with people and people connect with your story. Like nobody's kid ever says, Daddy, Mommy, read me a brochure. Like they want to say, read me a story, right? What's the story? How the heck did you get here? Like what makes you different? And I know we talked about Chat GPT and like your bio and stuff, but I really feel like that's what's going to separate us from these robots is that human, real, like I'm a real flesh and blood person, imperfect person, you know, that's existing in this space. And what better way is there to get a feel for someone than to see them? You see their pictures and their video and what they're about. So it's really powerful advice.
With AI isn't going to live your day-to-day life. Like AI isn't going to, you know, show its favorite meal. Right? It's not your personality. AI can help you, you know, like it wrote my bio because I just like didn't want to, right? I was like, okay, sure. It's been a while. It's like things have kind of changed, but like I still had to prompt it. You know, you still have to learn. That's like a skill in itself. It's learning how to write in a way that it will give you what you want. And then if it saved you time, like great, you can go work on something else. Like I'm never like I have no fear of AI. I'm like, yes, let's go. Come and be my assistant. I just call it my assistant. I was like, I have my assistant write this. Like,
that's what it is. I love that. I love that fearlessness and that willingness to embrace new things. And
right. Because things are going to change. Things are going to change. Like either you're going to you either embrace it and work with it and grow with it, or you're going to get left behind. And as freelancers, like that is the game.
Yes.
That is the game, is being willing to grow with it, adapt to it. Like I remember like early in my like event producing, I, you know, like social media is coming out, and I was like always into social media. Like when Instagram came out, I was like in it. I'm like doing filters and I'm doing like layouts. I'm like making I was like, this is my art. Yes. And, you know, I got a lot of like, okay, whatever. And I was like, you know, but I'm like, no, I really think this is going to be a thing. And I'm like, when we're at events, we should be doing little videos. We should be doing like, you know, 15-second videos, just kind of showcasing this or that. And they're like, no, that's a waste of time. We've got a video team that's doing the 5-minute sizzle reel. That's like this or whatever. And I'm like, okay.
And now who has the last laugh? I mean, honestly, like, look at you. You were predicting things. No, it's so true. I mean, when we were little, like, and we ourselves, I feel like our generation, we've witnessed this. And can you imagine if we wouldn't have been open to like when we were young, it was like, okay, let's go after school and get in these chat rooms and, you know, like pretend we're older than we really are. And, you know, that it was like these other, you know, like these other affinity websites and blogging. And then Facebook came in 2004 and Instagram, I think was 06, maybe, or was it YouTube? I can't remember. But I mean, to just imagine that there's whole people, like the careers that exist now weren't around. Like there was nobody at career day when we were little coming and saying, you know, this is how you do UGC, or this is how you freelance. Right. Like, that wasn't a thing. It was, here you can be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a teacher, you know.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And I was like, I don't like any of those.
We want more options.
I'd like more options. And it's like, you know, with what I was doing, I was like, oh, you could go work in the news. And I'm like, but I don't want to work in the news. Like that didn't feel right. Right. Pursuing acting was like, it's like, I know I want to be on camera and I know I like telling stories and expressing things, but like, this isn't right. Like the whole my whole freelance career has been like, it was like me finding a major in college, which I didn't. I was like, oh, let me try this and this and this. And then I was like, oh, you have two majors and a minor just from like the random classes you took. I'm like, okay, we're doing fine. Let's.
Yeah, as long as you get to graduate. I know. And you know, it's so interesting because when you were talking about that through line, you know, through your career, everything that you've done has helped you like where you are now, making content.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know how to be on air or be on camera. Like live streaming is a niche for you. Not everybody can live stream. That's a whole
Mm-hmm.
other animal. You can edit stuff. You have the business intel to know like how this piece of UGC content is, how the company's going to use it, what they're looking
Mm-hmm.
for, how to position it so that it's in line with what their goals are. Like that's massive. How to do
Yeah.
like you understand how to do big events. You understand like project management. Like there's, I feel like it all came together, you
It all
know?
informs everything. It's all these like little lines where like, as you're going through, it may not make sense. But if
Mm,
you're learning something, like even the things that I don't utilize, I learned something from it as far as
yeah.
like what not to do,
Yeah.
how not to do things. So, when the pandemic happened and everyone's like, I need to start my podcast, I need to film stuff at home. But like they were like, people were melting down because they're like, I have to be on camera, but I have to also film. I can't do that. Or I need to film, but I need to edit. That like it was too many things all at once. Now,
Mm,
if you in your career, like we don't know where things are gonna go,
yeah.
you just learn things as you go, integrate it into your being because it all will make sense eventually, or it won't, and you just know stuff.
Yeah.
Like I just know a lot of stuff, like weird stuff. Like people are like, "Wow, you just know everything." I was like, because I've been willing to say yes
That's so
a
good.
lot, even when it's like, okay, I don't know, but I've had some great experiences. Like I got to be a producer for the New Year's Eve ball drop
That's
in Times
so
Square,
cool.
right?
Oh
Like
my
I did that twice, and I'm
gosh.
like, cool, I did that. I don't need to do it again, but
Right.
like I experienced that, right? Big
Yeah.
tours. I've been around the country. That's why now I'm like willing and very happy to work at home. Like whenever
Yeah.
lockdown happened, I'm like, thank goodness. I'm
Right.
so ready to just stay still for a minute. But I can tell you about hotels across America. I can tell you, just like
Yeah.
knowing a lot of things. But then when you utilize that information, you figure out eventually how to distill it. So now, like, that's where it's like I could make content about absolutely anything, but choosing a lane based on who I want to serve helped me hone things in. And then that's how I can keep things really organized because I have like in the business mindset of like having a niche in order to get to where you want to go. Right.
Right.
So, like, when you start to separate your personal identity and your personal worth from the output that you put out, like, I know my content's
Mm,
good. I know what I put out is good, but like, if I talk about self-care stuff, it doesn't mean I'm only the self-care girl for like the rest of my life because like my life has gone
right.
through so many iterations. Like
Hmm.
that's just the project in the moment right now that will attract work and attract clients and attract the right audience to grow. So using those things as magnets, not as your identity, will really help you grow in your freelance career.
I love that. And that is so counterculture to what we've been taught, right? We were talking
Mm-hmm.
about having to pick a major. It's like from childhood, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's like this pressure to always associate what we do for income, for survival, with who
Mm-hmm.
we are. And we are
Mm-hmm.
so much bigger than these skills that we have and these things that we can create. And I think that that is huge. And even just, the type of work that you do, the type of work that I do as a writer, that some of the folks listening, it's a vulnerable thing. Like we are
Mm-hmm.
not doing accounting or data entry over here. Like we are, there's nothing and we make something and we put it out and we were like, do you like it? Is that what you were, like taking these abstract things from our client's mind and we're just relying on whatever words they are able to use to describe it. And
Mm-hmm.
then we're tasked with, ta-da, here it is.
Yeah.
That is it's not easy work. And that ability that you have to kind of separate and to know where it lies and to say, okay, this is what I created, but that's not me, Mary Lou, like, or that's not
Yeah.
me, Ashley. Like that's big.
And that takes time. So like I
Yeah.
know there's definitely been chapters of my life where it's like I just toiled over like, is this my identity? Is this how I want the world to see me? But it's like, I don't know, there's so much more to it than that. So, like an example, when I first got like starting like having the itch to like make a YouTube channel, I was watching a lot of like makeup YouTubers because that was like what was big at the time for like, you know, our demographic was like to look at the makeup girls doing their makeup thing, and they're so fabulous and they're growing and stuff. And I'm like, I love makeup, but I tried to make some makeup tutorials and it drove me crazy because for me, doing makeup is like meditation. That's like getting my mind right before doing whatever it is I'm going to do. So it's like before like an interview like this, doing my hair and my makeup is just my time to like kind of integrate the information and think about how I want to present, think about what the day is going to look like. I just could not give that away.
Right.
It was very, very hard for me. So I can love makeup, but that doesn't have to be my identity to the world. Now, like sharing the self-care stuff, like that has been very personal stuff for me before, but I'm in a place where it's like, okay, I can share that just because I know the intention behind this. I know where this is going for me to get to who I want to get to with the main avenue, the main content, just because like we need to see more of us out there.
Yes.
We're like, we've been scared away from standing in the light for too long. And I can't stand it. I can't stand it.
I hate it.
Come on, get over here. I can be in the light because representation absolutely matters. Yes, and if you're somebody who grew up like, you know, like you grew up not seeing yourself, and then when you do see yourself, you're like, what? Here I am. I'm here. You know, so like, because we could grow up and we're like, fine, okay, sure, I see this, I see that, but like, here, when I was doing video production for events, and this was in 2017, this specific moment, it was the day after the election. And the representation that like I want to be like felt a little shaky, right? Just like strong women of color doing anything, like it just like everything felt a little bit shaky. So I got sent to do a filming job to film an event in Oklahoma. And it's at a middle school for the show that I'm doing like a sizzle reel for. And I'm setting up my cameras and I'm just kind of in my head and I'm like, oh, like what is the world going to be? Like I feel for these little girls and like what they're going to feel moving forward in the world. But because I was standing there setting up cameras, these little girls who are like getting ushered into the auditorium are like, are you filming this? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, I didn't know a girl could do that.
Oh my goodness.
I went to the bathroom and cried.
Wow.
Because like, that's it. That's what it is. That's where it matters. Because if they didn't see that, like, I don't know, maybe all those little girls will go up to become Academy Award winning filmmakers. Maybe they'll become the biggest YouTubers ever. Maybe they will just enjoy making videos in a way that they didn't think was accessible to them because they saw me standing there like in my head with my little vest and like wires everywhere, you know, just like being like, oh, what is the world? And they're like, I didn't know you could do that. I'm like, girl, you could do any of it. You could do all of it.
You can.
So it matters. It matters.
And especially in that, in what, you know, because that's kind of techie. And, you know, when we were little, it was like, oh, at least the message that I internalized was like, oh, boys are good at math. Boys are good at technology. Boys are good at science. And, you know, we're good at the softer things, or quote unquote, the softer things, or softer subjects or what have you. So I imagine that scene of seeing you like being a badass and plugging in stuff and lugging stuff and making things work was really affirming for them. And just, that's a beautiful moment. Beautiful.
Yeah. And I could feel it. Like, I still feel like emotional over it because it was like a group of them and they just like stopped. Like they were like walking in and they stopped and they were like, are you filming this?
Yeah.
Wait, you know? So that's with like the content creator vertical that I have, the content about making content stuff. Like girls aren't necessarily looking for that, but I want to find them and I want to connect with them. So what are girls really tend to be looking for on the internet? Like the stuff that they try to sell us to tell us that we're not beautiful enough.
Whew, that's another podcast, girlfriend.
Right? So it's like, okay, well, let me show up there and be like, well, you can enjoy some of this stuff, but you don't need to change yourself. But like this stuff is fun. It can be fun. Like it can be both. It's just finding the right spot for it to fit into your world where it doesn't destroy you.
So beautiful. So many gems. Just gems for days.
We're just here to change the
I
world,
know. I'm
Ashley.
telling you, one freelance project at a time, people.
That's
That's how
right.
you do it. That's how you move the needle.
Hmm.
Love it. There's so much this theme that I'm sensing in what we're talking about, like your willingness to say yes, you've shared, and your fearlessness about, all right, I don't know about that, but I'm going to learn, and that willingness. Putting yourself out there can be scary for a lot of people. It's scary for me, even. What tips can you give to freelancers who know that they should be making social media content, but they're nervous? They're nervous to put their message out. They're nervous to put their voice out there.
Right. It's we touched on it a little bit earlier of like, if you don't, that opinion, that point of view might not ever get out there. And there's other people who need to hear that. They need to hear the thing that is on your heart that needs to come out. They need to be influenced to think a little bit differently, whether they agree with you or it's something they disagree with. That's still like getting people to think about things,
Right.
and formulate things and see themselves or see something that is not themselves, right? To see something that is different is as valuable as seeing something that is familiar. Just to know like, oh, this is out there too. Because especially in social media, like it's very easy to get insulated. Like the algorithm will tell you the things you want to hear, right? It'll just give you those things. But so if we're not out there, also like, disruption doesn't need to be giant. Disruption is existing,
Wow.
right? Because like so much of us is like, we've just been told so long, don't exist. Like the thing that you're doing, don't exist.
Stop that. Yeah.
It doesn't. Why are you doing that? Like, and that's like, I feel like so much of my life was like just trying to be like, what do they mean? Because I've been told a lot I'm overqualified, right? This is what also why like I never got like a really stepped into a full-time job. Like I've taken little jobs here and there. I've had like stints, but I always like considered them longer term gigs. Yeah. Because it just never was right. But like after enough times of being told, you're overqualified. That's much. Oh, you like know too much. It's just like, okay, well, if I'm too much, I'll just do it myself. It's fine. And then I can sell off. I can like provide service with pieces that people want for that moment. And then I can be on my way. And that's what you're doing with your social media presence is like showcase that part of you that you want to showcase all of it, showcase a little bit, but you should showcase you, because that is how you're going to connect with the clients that matter to you. And also, right, so the whole thing with like just doing freelance stuff is that it's the stuff that you feel good doing, right? Like you can make a career doing stuff you don't want to do, or you can make a career doing stuff you want to do, right? Yeah. Just choose your difficult, because it's all difficult.
Yes.
But you can at least have a moral compass that like helps you say yes or no. And here's something for you in life. If it's not a definite yes, it's a no. Just hold that. Like if there's a client, if there's a, like it might be like your dream brand, but there's something in the interaction that you're like, this is not gonna be good. Just say no, it's fine. The right opportunities will find you, or do it because you want to try it. Like, sure. But just know when you hear that little voice that's like, just listen to it. Either listen and do it and you're going to learn something, or listen and say no and use that time for something else. But so in making your content and showing up online, be brave enough to show yourself, because people need to see you. Someone needs to see you, and it will help you connect with the clients you want to actually connect with. Because if you're putting out the stuff that you want to be doing, I make fun videos. I make fun, energetic videos. Nobody is going to reach out to me to do a dramatic reading of an obituary. Like they're not going. It's not going to. I'm not going to be outreach to cover the heartbreaking news.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do that. But because I have an online presence, like you can see it and you're like, okay, this girl does fun stuff. She likes to make jokes. She likes to have energy. She likes things to be colorful. So they can tell right away if you're a connection too.
Woo! The gems, people, the gems. The disrupting can just be existing. That part, I feel it so much. Like, I feel like in so many aspects of life, like I felt that way. like
Mhm.
kind of like an inconvenience, a we don't know what to do with you. Like, can you just stop? Like
That right
feeling
there.
like
Like, can
what
you just
can you
stop? And it's like,
just
but this is who I am.
I know.
I
I know. And the fact that you're leaning in and saying, no, I deserve to be here.
hmm
I am a person, I am a human, I am a creative, I'm an energy, and I'm just fine, thank you. And I will take up this space and I will show up in all of these places and I will do what I want. I mean that's just existing and shining and being in your light. I mean that's a form of resistance and rebellion
right.
because yeah, like, and I love what you said about putting out that content or just being yourself. You attract, and you also repel
hmm
the people you don't want.
hmm
And that's powerful. We've got to do more of it, girlfriend. I love it.
Yes.
Love it, love
Yes.
it, love it.
Yeah. And it's like the more you show up, the more things will align for you. The
Yeah.
more you show up authentically. And it can be so much like you can show up in a way that's not just the nice things.
Mm-hmm.
Like when things are bad for me and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, I
Yeah.
will share that. And
Mm.
then other people are like, wow, I'm feeling that too. And it's like, cool, yeah. We all are a mess, like, or, like it's just good to show all of it. Like, do you need to make everything a pity story? Do you need to share everything? Do you need to only share the wins? Like, there's, it's choose your own adventure, right? If you want to have
Yeah.
a very curated, like professional uh, portfolio that you present online, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Like there's any way that you want to do it, but it is just know it's part of your brand, it's part of your marketing, and it is part of attracting the freelance work that you want to be doing that fulfills you.
100%. I love it. So much goodness in this. So you've been doing this freelance life a long time, since 2005, and that's super impressive. To what do you attribute your staying power and your success?
First thing is willing to say yes. Willing to say yes to things that maybe are a little uncomfortable, things you feel like you're not ready for, you're
Mm.
not qualified for. Because I'm going to give you the secret to it all is that nobody's qualified. Nobody, nobody and everybody is qualified,
Yeah.
right? It's like, are you qualified to learn quickly on the job? Like that's like the number one skill. It's like, can you learn something fast?
Yeah.
And can you move through the world confidently? Are you willing to make mistakes and
Mm.
admit you make mistakes? I've definitely done that. Like there were definitely like events where it was just we were overrun with people. It was like a very popular brand, and like I was like y'all to my team. I was like, okay, so we failed, and like everybody laughed about it because we just like it's the elephant in the room
Yeah.
of like, oh, I think we did this wrong, and like okay, so now how can we course correct from there? How can we learn from this? Because nothing is the end of the world till it's the end of the world.
Mm.
So be willing to say yes, be willing to make mistakes, and get very organized with your finances because it'll be up and down. It's going to be up and down. But if you listen to Ashley's like first episode where she talks about just like that you can make as much money as you need to pay your bills. You don't have the cap on your finances. You can take seasons, you can take things time off. So all of that is like the cream of the cream. That's like why we do this, right? Because then like we have control over our lives. But get organized with your finances. You get that really big windfall job. Don't spend it all in one place.
Mm.
Don't do it. Get organized and look at yourself like a business. Like you're a commodity, your service is a commodity, but you are a business. So you need to get organized in a way, like get QuickBooks. Like I have like this took time to do this, but like there's
Yeah.
like a whole other episode about just finances as a freelancer. But like the quick and dirty of it is like have one account that the money lands in. That's not the account you spend out of. And then you divvy out every check before it even gets to your personal pay account. Take your taxes out,
Yes.
pay the business, pay yourself.
So
And
good.
then just keep going from there. And then like things like that have to be flexible. That's where it's like you can have specific numbers that are targets, but like you'll have your, seasons where the rain's very good and then you have your
Mm-hmm.
droughts, right? So you build things in a way that you'll be okay when there's a drought. You might have to tighten up, but you'll be okay. And then when there's like a windfall, you're like, amazing. Now I can replenish my, you know, the reserves.
I love it. Along that organization tip, I did want to ask because you do so many different things. How do you stay organized? How do you stay organized with your workspace, with the way you structure your business, kind of your processes? Can you give us some
Mhm.
tips about that?
Yeah. So with where I film, so a lot of people are like, how are you outputting so many
Yeah.
videos? Because I do, like, it's just like videos all day long. Because my video set is my desk set, is the editing play, is the place where I film, is the place where I edit, it's the place where I answer emails, also the place where I do my hair and makeup. So if
Wow.
you're watching on the video podcast, and we'll describe it a little bit for the audio listeners, this shot that you see right now, this is like exactly where we're sitting, where you see the rest of the podcast interview that looks very clean.
Yeah.
But when I cut away, I've got my camera, I've got so many lights. There's so many lights. I have two cameras that are just always here, ready to go. And then this, like my laptop just plugs in and out of this situation. The microphones, all of that goes into a hub that plugs into the computer. So if ever I need to film something, I could just sit down and do it. And this is my monitor that like comes out to the middle. And this is, it's creating a workflow and a work situation where you remove as many barriers as possible. Now, this took years for me to get to here, but
Wow.
I can tell people now who are getting into it, I'm like, okay, just start with this. Cause I would like set up my cameras and take them down. But then it's like, oh, that's like
Mm.
so much is setting the cameras up and taking them down, just that part. And then making sure that the camera is the right settings and the lights are in the right place. I found a way that I'm like, okay, I don't touch this camera. This camera stays here all the time, right? And if I
Yes.
want to film something out somewhere else in my apartment, I'll film it on my phone, I'll film it on other cameras, because you could always just do everything on your phone. Is setting your work up, whatever it is your output is going to be, with the least blockages, right? Because you want a flow. That's why it's a work flow. Once you
Yeah.
start to hit resistance, you're like, okay, approach that. How can we change this? How can we remove this resistance? So setting up the cameras, right? That was resistance for me because it's like putting them up, taking them down. So I'm like living with a friend. I'm in her guest room. It's very hard for me to like set up permanently there. So then like I
Mhm.
eventually got into an apartment by myself and I was like, great, this room is for filming only. But I had my filming
Awesome.
section and my computer office section were different places. Okay,
Mm.
now this is like now I have to, there's the resistance of getting the footage off of the camera to the computer to edit. Too much resistance. So now the footage goes straight into the computer. It downloads onto the desktop. Like I don't record on an SD card. I use a program called Ecamm Live, which like rocks my world. And I just record in there. I do production. I can see what the camera sees on my computer. The audio goes right into the computer. It's all together. And then that's a little less resistance. Uh, Hair and makeup, right? If you're the type of creator that you're going to be on camera and you want to look a certain way, you want to present a certain way. Doing my hair and makeup like in the bathroom was like cool, but then I would sit down in front of the camera and it looks different.
Mm.
Now it's not what I want it to look like. So all my hair and makeup is sitting right there and I just turn on all the lights. I have a mirror that just the light just died on it.
Wow.
That I sit here so I can see exactly what it looks like. So I know how to, and like the lights in the background, just getting rid of resistance, like making sure the set was clean was like, oh my gosh, this like, it's just too many things to think about. So now just
Mm.
this wall just stays this wall and
Yeah.
it's lights on the floor, not a set, not backdrops I need to pull down. It's a gray wall with lights on it. Remove the resistance to your workflow. And just like that just takes time because you need to figure out, okay, this is good. Things are going good. Okay, this is where I have a little resistance. What can I do? What creative solutions can I have to remove that barrier? Okay, cool. And you'll keep finding more until you work through it. So I'm able to make many, many videos in a day. I'll film it. It's already on my computer. Before I turn anything off, I'll go in, edit, make sure I have everything that I need. Okay, cool. Now I can move on. Because if you shoot it and if I don't edit it right away, I'm never editing it. You're never going to see the light of day.
That is incredible. Thank you, thank you, thank you for pulling back the curtain and kind of showing us this. This is amazing for those folks that are accessing via YouTube. Like, this is amazing. And for folks that are listening on the podcast, go to YouTube so you can see everything that Marielou shared. And there's so many ways that we can apply this to whatever you're doing. If you're doing social media, if you're doing writing, having that place to work and figuring out what are the things that are stopping you, not having your information or not having a filing system. If you want to kick it old school for, a folder for each of your client, like taking what Marielou sharing and applying that to what you do, I think is going to make a huge impact. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then content on content, right? So we're filming this right now. Like Ashley's
Right.
filming this. I've got a phone here on the side filming me talking to the camera because that I will use as other content, right? Like whether you hear me talking or not. So when you're if you're a freelancer and you're like, I don't know what to make content of, like put a camera in the corner and film yourself typing on your computer. Just so it shows that you're working, right? Because you are what you tell people you are. So if you're a writer, show people you're writing because you're a writer. I don't care if you're just like playing Sudoku, like just, you are what you tell people you are. And that will attract the clients, that will attract the work that will bring you your peace and happiness.
I love it. So good. So good. So I know folks can follow you online. You also have a class. You also have this editing class on Skillshare. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. So on Skillshare, I have video editing for beginners on mobile. If you have never done anything on Skillshare, you can find a trial for it and take it for free. The class takes less than an hour. I just go through the basics on editing a video on your phone using a free app called CapCut. But the things that we talk about are things that you could use in basically any video editor, like talking about importing footage, right? If you've never heard that word, you're like, what does that even mean, right? A timeline, editing timeline. We'll talk about that and like how to move footage around. And once you learn those basics, you can do so much. So even if it's like I filmed this little video here on the side today. Now it's like just a long piece of video. What do I do with that? Well, using the skills you can learn in this class, you can learn how to just cut the beginning and end off, or how to just take a clip, or how to add captions onto it. Things like that do make things very easy. And if you ever have any questions, just DM me, I'll answer you. Or if I have a video, I'll send you the link to it. If you find me on YouTube, that's where there's a whole library of tutorials for that kind of stuff. Because I want you to make your content. Like my thing is like, create, release, repeat is the only way you're going to get better. It's the only way you're going to improve. And it's the only way you're going to feel more confident existing on the internet.
That's so powerful. Create, release, repeat, people. That's what we need to be doing.
Yep.
So Marielou, thank you for sharing so much wisdom with us today, for sharing your time, for your inspiration. Everything that you're doing in the world just frees us all up to try to say yes to these opportunities. Where can people find you online? Can you tell us those handles one more time so we can find you?
You find me all over the internet at Marielou Mandl. And then there's a couple of other offshoots. I'm still playing with the names, but you can always find me at Marielou Mandl everywhere on the internet.
Thank you so much, Marielou. I appreciate you.
Thank you.